Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Heart of the Equation after a while. And today, with Pragati and Anisa, we are going to talk about finding your job in Switzerland and staying focused and grounded during the job search, which is a very stressful process. So let's start, ladies. Go for
Thank
it.
you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you after a long time, right? And I think this topic is something that it's really in our heart. And it's something that being quite talked about, right? And we hear more and more people that during the job search really become overwhelmed, excited, and also feel hopeless and tired, right? So that is the reason that we have chosen this topic today.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, hi from my side as well. It's been a while since we've all come together, the three of us. So we're very happy to be together. I think we yapped at least 30 minutes just connecting with each other. But yeah, I mean, it's such a relevant topic, especially given the situation of the market today. I'm so happy that we're talking about it, and also the fact that it's so many people derive, their purpose from the job that they do. And when all of a sudden you are kind of out of a job, you were made it redundant, or there was a reorg, or you lost your job. There is a very internal thing that also goes. One is, of course, the practical approach that now you need to look for a job. You are probably going to the RAV, you have your compensation packages, all of that load already while your mind is processing what just happened to you. So I think it's needs to be talked about much more. It's still quite in the, it's in the background that your mental health really takes a beating when you go through something like this.
Yes, exactly. And also, most of the resources around job search, how to do interviews is around the strategies of like tactics, what to do in the interview, say this, say that. You have to be very focused and very grounded to be able to apply any strategy in like difficult times. This applies to business, this applies to job interviews, especially if you go to a lot of job interviews and you will get rejected. That's also part of the job search, that you will have to go through a lot of rejections to get accepted. And you will be dealing with a lot of personalities. Sometimes you may not be treated as nicely as or as respectful as you expect. Some
Yeah.
interviews are very intimidating. Sometimes you have to sit with like a board of a lot of senior people who don't know you. So it's a lot of pressure in this process. And if you're not in the right mindset and in the right, also like your body is not in the grounded state, it's going to be very difficult to apply any good strategy. So that is why we decided to talk about it. Also, Anisa can help us a bit more with the nervous system aspect of this whole situation, because to apply any good strategy, you have to be grounded first. So where should we start with this?
Maybe we can tackle what is happening when we lose something or we come to let's say, a point that we are experiencing uncertainty for a while. So losing a job is considered grief. And this is between other, griefs like losing a family, losing a pet. And it is like 80% really shaking us. It is very close to the divorce or losing, a child. Sometimes it's not considered so heavy and we say, okay, that's only a job. And at the same time, it has a quite heavy weight, right, on how our nervous system feels. And from that losing and grieving, we have also other aspect, which is, okay, one part we have lost something, right, or a structure, a daily organization and program. And from the other side, there is uncertainty, right? And that uncertainty come and basically impact our being grounded because it goes together with fears. And I'm sure that you all know about the Maslow triangle, right? It goes and really, direct the very first level, which is our economical well-being, right? So all those fears and the griefs I start really to work in a negative way, unfortunately, in our body and nervous system. And it is not only being done in our head as a form of thoughts, right? We have that thoughts. You mentioned Sara and Pragati about going to interviews, being accepted, not being accepted, preparation, losing confidence. So all those thoughts become a part of our body. And that in that stage, we start, unfortunately, the people in situations start to develop some pains, shoulder pains, migraines, and then it starts to really compromise our health, right? So when your health is not being done in a fit stage, let's say you are not fit anymore in your body, you cannot think also in a focused way. You do not feel grounded anymore, and you cannot apply for the right job. You cannot present yourself with confidence. So it's like a circle, right? They go all hand to hands.
Yeah, yes, it triggers our survival instincts, let's say. And the moment we go into survival mode, we could go into the fight, flight, fawn, freeze, all of these, depending on how our body memory is
Right.
designed. And usually we make our worst decisions, in those states. But it's also, I haven't applied for jobs since forever, but I have a business and I find myself in similar situations a lot. And I've also noticed with myself, the more I go into the fear of like, what if it doesn't work? Because sometimes I send proposal to places and sometimes they reject me very frequently. They also say yes. I also have those thoughts like, what if I get rejected? What if they don't like this proposal? What if the more I go into the fear, the less helpful it becomes. So I always tell myself, sometimes you need to be a little delusional and hopeful just to show up at your best. I don't know what you think about this.
Yeah, I will quote my personal example that when I had just moved to Switzerland, I was in a similar situation. Of course, I quit my job. I was at Unilever at that point in time when we were moving here. And I quit my job and I moved here. And I came with this sense of confidence, right? I had already worked in the industry for around 12 to 13 years. This is what I also hear from a lot of professionals around us, that they've worked for so long. They are already in this mid management or senior management sort of roles. And then there's some transition of life that happens, and it could be a reorg, it could be like I moved countries, it could be something else, and then you face rejection after rejection after rejection, and then you go into this vicious circle which Anisa was talking about, where you start questioning yourself. And you know, how much ever you tell your friends like it's not you, it's the way the market is, it's the way the situation is, it's very normal, it's extremely normal for someone to start questioning themselves and their capabilities. And I hear from a lot of people right now, because the situation in Switzerland, the three of us know how bad it is because so many of our friends have been affected by it, that there are more burnouts for people who are unemployed than the ones who are in hostile environments or toxic jobs or overwhelming situations. So it's really what, one of the things that really worked for me at that point in time was also because I was doing my master's. I was already in the routine of doing something else. And I think we should go into the practical strategies bit. And Anisa, maybe you have some thoughts over there. But having a schedule really, really works for you when you are in that situation. Because now I think we acknowledge the big elephant in the room and it's there for so many people. But let's maybe steer a little bit towards what are some of the strategies maybe that you used, or, you advise people that maybe they tried this and it's worked for them.
Sure. As you both said, when it comes to being unemployed and applying for a job, there are loads of courses, loads of books, loads of coaches that really help with CV reviews, how to go and present yourself. I see all of those very important and necessary, of course. And it's like working on the hardware, right? We need that skill. We need to understand how to present ourselves, to see, okay, what is important in this role that I have already done, that I can bring example, right? They're all very crucial points to learn. And there is the other part, which is the software, right? And if the software is not working, the hardware can be amazing, right? Can be fulfilled, can be rich, and the whole system doesn't work, right? So to make that software healthy, as you mentioned, Pragati, there is very good, let's say, you can build it. You can build that software, right, to keep the gear going. And one of the really good point that you mentioned is scheduling, right? To have a schedule that keep you calm out of the bed. Because what I hear from many people that they are searching for a job, they do not want to go out, they cannot get up in the morning. So that is scheduling that say now it is, 7:30, you get up of the bed, and you start the day as easy as you think it should be, but keep you going. So you mentioned one already. The other things can be very helpful is to have a journal, right? To really write those emotions that is telling you not the true always, right? They are lying to you that you're not good enough, that you didn't apply enough, you lost that interview because you said that. They're all kind of a lies that's been produced by our mind, right? So the journaling is helping a lot as well. And not the last one, but one of the very important one is community.
Yeah.
To have a supportive community around you, to see and hear other stories, and to have other people who really hold you. Do not push you, but just hold the space for you to talk, to be, and support you in this challenging path.
Yeah, that's so true. I think there is also something in Switzerland, being productive, performing. We have a performance obsessed culture.
Yeah.
I think it's probably in a lot of countries, but here, if you're not someone who's contributing to the society, you're not making money, you're not creating income, you're not employed, it has a lot of negative weight on you, and it's not your fault. But the word unemployed, it's almost like it's very tough. It's a tough thing to carry. And I also would like everyone to invite not to integrate that in your identity. It's just a state. It could happen to anyone. It's not like a lot of people, when you say, I am unemployed, you bring it to your identity. But I would avoid that word as much as possible because it's just a state. You just don't have a job at this moment. You could have it later. And there is a lot of guilt and shame that comes with it usually. And guilt and shame are the worst emotions. They get in the way of doing anything. It puts people in isolation. When people feel that shame, they avoid their friends. I've even heard it from people that I avoid going to this party or this networking because I don't want to say I'm unemployed. And this starts a very unhealthy cycle of getting disconnected with the force of life. And exactly, I think this is working as a handbrake. So how to get out of that shame feeling? What would you recommend?
I mean, I just wanted to say that it's so true that, it's again the chicken and the egg situation that you go to the networking event and then you feel miserable again and then you curse yourself again and then you're continuously in this spiral where you're kind of going down. And it's so important that your family, friends, whatever your community is around you kind of supports you at this time, because sometimes you don't need solutions. You just need the people in your life to tell you. Like for me, it's the biggest joy when my daughter tells me that, Mama, you're so good. Or like when my husband tells me, but you've done this. How can you ever question yourself? I mean, and you know all of these things, but because you're questioning your sense so much that it's so important to rely on this strong, this whole community structure. And I think everybody should work on building on that rather than going to every, networking event possible. And also community of job seekers, people who are also in similar situations. This is something that I have built it, and Anisa and I have built it together as well. Because let's just be honest, misery loves company.
Yes.
Because no one can get it as well as the person who's exactly in the same shoes that you're wearing, right? So it's amazing to have that sort of people that you're like, hey, this worked for me. Maybe you can try this. I got an interview here. It was not right for me, but maybe it would be right for you. And having those sort of structures, of course, your family and friends will always be there and take care of your, your how you're feeling, but also kind of having this sort of a cheer squad where they really get it. So it's I sometimes don't understand why job seekers are not more connected with each other. This is what we are trying very hard, Anisa, isn't it?
That's true. And I really like that you say connecting more than networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I believe that real connecting that is bringing value rather than to go and, add some people on your LinkedIn event. That is also good. That is also good, right? But real connecting that brings value, that you can support each other, that you also in that connecting mood hear the successful stories, and those successful stories that really give you serotonin, right, and encourage you in your path. And I want to also to add something that Sara said, right, that shames and guilt that you mentioned, that is also other type of thoughts, right, that are not real, they are lies. And by right type of journaling that is guided, right? When you come and you sit with yourself, then you ask yourself, okay, what are my really thoughts that are my bothering? And then that journaling can be, of course, kind of match and connected with somatic exercises, right? Hey, what are that thoughts? Where are you in your body? You're feeling that when you're talking, right? When I ask often, people say, okay, my stomach, I'm just feeling that, or my shoulder. And then you start working with that feeling, right? That it starts kind of to dissolve, right? To lead to, I don't say to remove it, but to address it somehow in the body, and then somehow on the paper, to get it out of your system, kind of. And then say, okay, well, let's see what is the truth. And then the truth are what Pragati mentioned, right? How people appreciated you, your values, and then you connect to those and you replace, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that there are so many ways really to address those things, and the first step is really willing and recognizing, hey, I want to go to that course, I want to go to that networking connecting event. So that is really willing and recognizing that I want to take one step, right? Like us, how many times we have decided to take one step and do something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also want to add one, and this is it's a little bit different, but it's a practical strategy, but also for you to maybe question yourself that maybe it's a sign and look at it more positively. Maybe it's a sign, maybe the universe, maybe your nervous system, maybe something inside you is pointing you towards a different direction. Maybe to look internally and see what are the other skills that you might want to bring to the forefront. And in this, I will also mention in the current situation that we all are in right now, where generative AI has kind of immersed itself into our lives. We will see in the next couple of months, not even years, but a couple of months, that people, they have already started this. Everybody will start building portfolio careers, or they will have multiple sources of income. So you need to build at least, now they say, like 3 or 4 good income streams to kind of, not feel totally dejected or out of the economy just when you lose your job, because job loss is going to become more and more common as we go forward. So maybe that's what the universe is guiding you towards. I mean, sometimes very accidentally, you come across things which you are very good at. And maybe all three of us are really good examples of this, but maybe you want to add something.
Sara, I think, is a good person to add about that, because Sara, you're helping as well people kind of to find, right, their passion in leadership.
Well, what I would add is that, at the end, because I've tried everything. I've been self-employed. I've been employed. I have worked with corporation. I've helped corporate because 10 years ago, I used to think if I start my own business, I will find that passion and I will be there. And then I noticed it's pretty much the same. The same
Yeah.
skills that get you, never try to escape a problem, hoping that if I was self-employed, I wouldn't have this problem. The problems are most of the time inside us. So what is creating a stress for you through your job search, through the job interviews, through the, I don't know, all of these upgrades? Because very often we're not just searching. Very often people are actually looking for 2 grades above them. So that's why they are going through this. Most of the time, it doesn't matter. It's about our approach towards uncertainty, approach towards upgrading ourselves, our approach toward transformation, transitions in life, and understanding that you don't just, like these stories, you don't just go from bad to great. You go through a messy middle, a phase that you don't know what's going on. There are a lot of, uncertainties, a lot of rejections. And the more neutral you are towards these situations, the easier it is going to be. So that's what I would add, and that's what I would invite people, because I've seen like a lot of people I've had, especially like I know a lot of people who get trained as a coach because they are team leaders, they learn about coaching, and then they get a coaching certification, and they think like, actually, I'm really suffering at work. I want to quit and become a coach. But the exact thing that was creating problems for them at work creates problems for them at getting clients. So the cycle repeats. So it's pretty much the same. There is no escape. Everybody you see who has some kind of success, has a like a good level of the job you want, they've been through all of these pains, and they have had all of these moments that we feel a little bit lower than what we thought we were meant to be. And it's your approach towards this. I would just invite everyone just to be curious. Like, this is happening to me.
Yeah. Sit back and like take a step back and look at yourself not as the usual critic that you would, right?
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
time to maybe rebalance, reevaluate, realign how you're going to be. You are the architect of your career. Maybe this is an opportunity and not the worst thing that happened to you. It's very hard when you are in that situation, but it's also something I find it as a great strategy. And at the moment, probably one of the best things that people can do for themselves is actually look inside and see what are the other things that they've always wanted to do.
Yeah. Yes,
It's
exactly.
an opportunity to get to know ourselves, right?
Yeah. Difficult times are always wake-up calls for us. Signals from the universe, I say, to sort of bring your attention to something like what is bothering me right now. But having said all of that, we could talk about the mindset and thoughts and all of that until forever. But really, it's the actions. And what you two are doing in May is creating an environment for people to actually take that action in a very safe space. It's quite exciting, actually. You're organizing this event. Maybe you want to share it with the audience.
Yeah, maybe Anisa, go ahead. Talk about
I
both.
talk
We have
about the first one, you talk about the second one.
okay.
Okay, let's do that. So on 7th of May, Pragati and me, we are hosting a webinar about the job journey. So how really be grounded, focus, and find your next opportunity in Switzerland. So that is a free webinar. It is at 7:30, and we put the link to register. So that is a practical, let's say, one of those points that we mentioned. That's the first step that you might want to really to take to come and gain some pragmatic strategy really for this challenging path.
Amazing.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we are not the usual career coaches, but we are the people who have actually been through very similar journeys. And what we are doing is just sharing our experiences, all the learnings that we have kind of put together. And, you know, we just want to share, we just want to pass it forward. There's another event which is on the 30th of May, and this is an in person event. It's a full day event which happens in Basel, starts at 10 a.m. We wrap up around 4:30, and people, and this is, I think, the sixth time that we are doing it. People every time say that they have still not had enough, and we are all like so tired by the end of the day. But it's every time, like, you know, when we are wrapping up at 4:30, people are like, oh, it's already over. The day is already over. So it's also an event to really look out for. It's for women. It's called Women's Career and Networking Brunch. So there's also a delicious brunch. There's also, you get to meet recruiters, you get to meet senior leaders in different roles, from pharma to tech to consulting to education. And, you know, and you can really meaningfully network, because that's how we kind of align the whole day for you. And
connect.
You really connect.
Most important than networking, connect really.
Yeah. And that's
Be
what we really
inspired
focus on.
and motivated. Yeah,
that's what we focus on. So that's coming up. I hope many of you will join us. Last time, Sara was one of the panelists, and we did the Heart of the Equation live. We did a live show of it on our career, like our career day, like we call it. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, last time I was there, gosh, it feels like it was yesterday. And it was in such a beautiful venue. I don't know if you have if you've
It's
identified them.
that
It's
is
the
the same venue.
It was gorgeous. Yeah, and yeah, I could see it was like one day was not enough. Like when we
Seriously.
had to close, say goodbye, a lot of people were still sort of talking. And I remember I really wanted to go check I don't know, talk to somebody, but it was there were so many
Yeah.
people queuing up to talk to. So it was and everybody loved it. It was the vibe, the energy was amazing. And there were some people even coming from, I think, France or a little further who
From
traveled.
UK, someone
Yeah,
flew,
they
right?
traveled because they're also, if you want a job in Switzerland and especially in Basel, and you're not you're an expat, you're immigrant, not local, it's not that easy. So community is really the first place people want to start, and especially there is something about Switzerland is the relationships, people you are connected to, that plays an
Yeah.
amazing role in everything. So I would like everybody who is interested in this career in Switzerland, especially pharma, engineering, all of these jobs that we have here, you should check this out. And hopefully you
We are
listen to
looking
this episode
forward.
on time to be able to sign up.
Looking forward to see everyone.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that was it. So we will put all the details about the event in the show notes later. And please let us know, if you have any questions. You could always find us on our social media. But yeah, I really look forward to, hopefully I could be there in May. I have to see, but it would be wonderful if we could catch up with you. And look forward to an amazing event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for listening.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Goodbye. Thanks for listening to The Heart of the Equation. If this episode has sparked something for you, we'd love to hear about it.
Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on LinkedIn and Instagram to continue the conversation.
And if you know someone who is navigating their next career step, share this episode with them. It could be exactly what they need.
We see you next time as we explore more about leading with purpose, resilience, and authenticity.
Let's keep growing together.